set down as the basic mechanics. Kind of roughly went through this on the Instagram, but the idea is that you're creating an isolation, right? So there's two basic constructs that we're talking about. The original one, which was your first three processes of blacksmithing, they were all about the heavy forging, so the moving, the tapering, that kind of construct. The next three are isolation processes. So this is being the first one. And understand that when you put in an isolation, that creates a finite point, right? It can only move backwards from there. Once you've laid in a set down, you can't move it forward. It's committed. So make sure you do get it in the right place. That is primary number one. We're just going to deal with a direct on the edge set down. So what happens is you have a piece of material like that, you have your anvil edge here, and your hammer blow strike needs to come down there, okay? And when it does so, the upper plane of material shifts downwards over the width of the face of the hammer. This is unsupported, so this corner here will cut in, right? And as it cuts in, it compresses this one. But generally what happens is it's only compressing there because essentially you can't reach out to that material. So this will bend upwards and you'll cut in an isolation which is straight like that, and this is kicked up, right? So now this is bitten into the material and this is moved downwards. You then at some point have to commit to the idea of pushing this down to parallel, which of course will make it expand like that, and voila. So getting this mark in, a lot of folks will go for a slightly angled strike, and if you are trying to bite a straight bite, so you want it nice and 90 degrees and perky, you can't stay at that angle for long. Maybe one strike to get it in, which will create a bite, which is like this, right? But then as you flatten up, that will allow you to cut it true. But that little bit will have progressed you forwards ever so slightly. So be careful of that. So if you put a mark and you want to take, say 1 inch or 1.5 inch of 5/8 square, and you want it to reach 2 inches by 7/8 of an inch wide by 3/16 thick, right? That is flat bit jaw, Tom's jaw. If you're trying to hit that construct and you stay at that angle too long, it's going to push so much material forward that you don't get the lateral spread. So be very aware of what you're trying to achieve when you're doing that set down. If you're trying to get more linear movement, it doesn't really matter. If you want a nice straight 90 degrees, you've got to make sure that you're coming down straight and at 90 degrees. So let's see if we can transfer to a position where Jess can get a good view of this. I'm going to go on this corner here, so I'm going to walk around, but that should get you a view in from the side. So method number one would be drop down low, strike in, strike in. That has given me a small bite, right? See that? And now, stay in that position, find that notch, and flatten up. Go to there, that's plenty deep enough. So you'll see how it's cut in fairly straight down, got a fairly clean corner, and it's pressed down. I'm going to take another bite and I'm just going to stay at a low angle so you can see what happens there. So being that my hand is down low and I'm biting more in at 45, and that will create less lateral spread and more forward movement. Okay? The two main problems we find people have with this is maintaining lock in that corner. Once you've committed to the set down, be careful about moving around. If you're moving around, you're going to have multiple bites and you're not going to have a good clean set down at the mark that you intended to put it in at. The other one is not coming down with your hammer blow in the plane of the material. If your material is down here like this, you want to strike at that angle. If it is like this, you want to strike at that angle. Right? Don't be hammering like this and expecting to get a set down. You're going to get a bend. Right? And vice versa, don't put your nose in, you're going to get a different effect. So if you find that you are getting bends and curves, those generally come down to hammer position, hammer impact point. So if you're striking too far back, it's going to do that. If you're hammering too heel heavy with your hammer, instead of nice and flat, it will bend also. And the other one is you think you're working flat, but in fact your hand is down here and you're hammering flat like that, and you will wind up with the bar coming up, it'll hit your set down, and it'll turn like this. Right? So whenever you get a weird error that is not achieving visually what you expect it to, it's because of lockdown here or hammer position. So keep a good eye on those. I'm going to go to the far side again, fairly sharp corner. I'm going to stay in this low position. Notice how I'm hammering at the plane that I'm wanting to adjust. And you will see here that most of that material has moved forwards. That angle is at an angle, but also when we look from above, I've gone a little bit further depth-wise, but my width isn't quite as wide as here. Okay? So if I actually brought those two down to the same thickness, so I may as well do with a couple of slaps. Close. So those are about the same thickness now, but you look at the width across here and the width on the other one, and they are quite different. The one that was hammered down with a very flat impact definitely spread wider. The one that we did from the other position, that was 5/8, that was 3/4. So this being at an angle, you do not get as much spread. This one you get more spread. All right? That is your basic principle. As long as you are landing your hammer blow in the right manner and you're landing your material lockdown at the notch that you intend to put your set down at, you will get a good set down. But you cannot wander. If you wander, you'll have very mushy things and they just won't satisfy. So check yourselves, lock yourselves in tight, find your body position, you should be good. You should be able to achieve good solid set downs. All right? Have fun.